Is she to be buried in Christian burial that willfully seeks her own salvation?
I tell thee she is, and therefore make her grave straight. The crowner hath sat on her, and finds it Christian burial.
How can that be, unless she drowned herself in her own defense?
Why, 'tis found so.
It must be, se offendendo, it cannot be else, for here lies the point. If I drown myself wittingly, it argues an act, and an act hath three branches. It is, to act, to do, and to perform. Argal, she drowned herself wittingly.
Nay, but hear you, good man deliver.
Give me leave, there lies the water. Good, here stands the man. Good. If the man go to this water and drown himself, it is will he. Nil he goes. Mark you that. But if the water come to him and drown him, it drowns not himself. Argal, he that is not guilty of his own death shortens not his own life.
The job of the grave diggers in Hamlet are very grave. And they deal with how sad and hard it is to do this job by making jokes and forgetting about how hard it really is. The pain and suffering of all the people that they bury, or they dig holes for. People do this in real life too, or in life in general. They hide all their pain behind laughter.
But is this law?
Mary is Crowner's quest law.
Will you ha the truth on't? If this had not been a gentlewoman, she should have been buried a Christian burial.
Why there thou sayest, and the more pity that great folk should have countenance in this world to drown or hang themselves, more than they're even Christian. Come, my spade, there is no ancient gentleman, but gardeners, ditchers, and grave makers. They had up Adam.
Was he a gentleman? Was the first that could ever bore arms.
Why, he had none?
What art thou, heathen? How dost thou understand the Scripture? The Scripture says, Adam dig, could he dig without arms? I'll put another question to thee. If thou answers me not to the purpose, confess thyself.
Go to.
What is he that builds stronger than either the mason, the shipwright, or the carpenter?
The gallus maker. For that frame outlives 1,000 tenants.
I like thy wit well. In good forth the gallows does well, but how doesn't it well? It does well to those that do ill. Now thou dost out to say the gallows is built stronger than the church. Argal, the gallows may do well to thee. Toot again, dump.
Cudgel thy brains no more about it, for your dull ass will not mend his pace with beating. And when you are asked this question, next say, a grave maker, the houses he makes last till doomsday.
Death is something that we all must face in our lives, so you have to cherish every moment that you have while you are here. You have to be the most that you possibly can be while it's still here, otherwise your head is just going to get tossed around like the skull from before.
This fellow have no feeling of his business, laughing about grave making.
Custom hath made it in him a property of easiness.
Even so, that the hand of little employment have even the daintiest sense. Or of a courtier that could say, Good morrow, sweet lord. How dost thou, good lord? It might be my lord such a one that praised my lord such a one's horse when he meant to beg it, might it not?
Aye, my lord.
Why, even so now that my lady's worms chapless and knocked about the mazzard with the sexton's spade, here's the fine revolution. If we could have the trick to see it. Did these bones cost no more than breeding, but to play at the log arts with them? Mine ache to think on it.
A pickaxe and a spade for and sharpening, a pit of clay, and to be for such a guest it's meet.
And there's another. Why might not this be the skull of a lawyer? Where to be his qualities, his quillets, and his cases now? His tenures and his tricks? Why does he suffer this rude knave knocking him about with a shovel? A great buyer of land, with his statutes, his reconnaissances, his fines, his double vouchers, his recoveries. Is this the fine of his fines and the recovery of his recoveries? To have his fine, date full of fine dirt? Will his vouchers vouch him no more of his purchase, and double ones too, rather than the length and breadth of a pair of indentures? The very conveyance of this lands will hardly lie in this box, and must inherit himself, have no more. Huh?
When you're dead, nobody cares how much stuff you had in your life. All that matters is the size of your bones and the name that you left behind. So you ought to give people a real reason to remember who you are. Also, keep in mind that graves were only 2 feet wide at the time, so you weren't going to fit much in there with you anyway.
Not a jot more, my lord.
Is not parchment made of sheepskins?
Aye, my lord, and of calfskins too.
There are sheep and calves that seek out assurance in that. I will speak to this fellow. Whose grave is this, sir?
Fine, sir.
I think it be thine indeed, for thou is what is in it.
You lie out on't, sir, therefore it is not yours. For my part, I do not lie in't, and yet it is mine.
Thou dost lie in it, to be in it, and say it is yours. 'Tis be for the dead, not for the quick, therefore thou liest.
'Tis a quick lie, sir. 'Twill away again from me to you.
What man dost thou dig it for?
For no man, sir.
What woman, then?
For none neither.
Who is to be buried in it?
One that was a woman, sir, but rest her sorry she's dead.
How absolute the knave is, we will speak by the card, or evocation will undo us. By the Lord, Horatio, for 3 years I have taken note of this, the age has grown so pickled. The toe of the peasant comes so close to the heel of the courtier. He gauves his kite.
Of all the days I the year, I come to that day that our last King Hamlet or come Fortinbras.
How long is that since?
Cannot you tell that? Every fool can tell that. It was the very day that young Hamlet was born, he that was mad and sent into England.
Aye, many. Why was he sent into England?
Why? Because, was mad. A snail records his wit there, or if I do not, it's not great matter there.
Why?
'Twill not be seen in him there the men are as mad or he.
How came he mad?
Very strangely, they say.
How strangely.
Very.
Upon what ground?
Why, here in Denmark, I have been sexton here, man and a boy, 30 years.
How long will a man lie in the earth ere he rot?
Faith, if I be not rotten before I die, as we have many pocky courses nowadays, that will scarce hold the laying in. He will last you some 8 year or 9 year. A tanner will last you 9 year.
Why he more than the other?
Why, sir, his hide is so tanned with his trade that I will keep out water a great while, and your water is a sore decayer of your dead body. There's a skull now. This skull has lain in the earth 23 years.
Whose was it?
A horse son, mad fellow it was. Whose do you think it was?
Nay, I know not.
A pestilence on him for a mad rogus. A poured flagon of Rhenish on my head once. This same skull, sir, was Yorick's skull, the king's jester.
This?
E'en that.
When someone you love commits suicide, it's absolutely heartbreaking knowing that their life has ended. And yet, as humans, we tend to think that they've left us alone with nothing and that it's all our fault. However, even though it's a devastating loss, we have to take some comfort in knowing that they're in a better place and their suffering is ended.